Welcome, everybody. We're here, and we're live, and we're not dead.
I'm alive.
Probably. Definitely
I had pizza,
so. Yeah. So, you had pizza?
I did yard work like all day today, and like I had a bit of food in the morning when I woke up, and then did yard work all day. And so the pizza and a beer revived me. Because for a while I was worried, like, is my brain going to function for this recording tonight?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I did a bunch of boxes because, like, my wife and my son aren't strong enough for book boxes, really.
Yeah.
So I get to move all those downstairs into my car.
The hundreds.
Yeah. And it's like 90-something degrees and like 60% humidity or something here. So, yeah. So
you had a rough one, Joe.
It's not easy, but you know what? It's got to get done, and I don't want to pay $2,000 to have a company move it all because I would prefer that $2,000 go to new floors to the new place.
Yeah, and you got to have your books. So.
And I do have to have my books. It's mandatory, required by law. Okay, so before we get started, Daniel and I were talking about fun stuff. And I said I would do this on stream. We were talking beforehand about Obsidian, which is the thing I'm using, but I don't think we need to talk about that anymore on here. But if you have questions about Obsidian, Daniel can ask them later. I'll do a video about like my setup. I'm not as like set up as some of the like hardcore users. I just sort of borrowed a lot of things from other people to do things I wanted it to do. But I do have it, by the way, and I figured you'll like this. Daniel, you know what Zotero is, right?
No.
Son of a... You're an academic!
Oh, is that the paper citing thing?
Yes, but you can take notes.
I've never heard it pronounced that way.
Oh, Zotero? Was it Zotero?
Zotero.
Zotero?
Zotero, yeah.
I'm so sorry. Zotero, right? Is
I don't know
like
how
Zatarans?
it is pronounced. I was always used to using EndNote, so... Okay. When it came time for me to write a paper and I had to use that, it was a nightmare trying to figure out how to get it to work.
Oh, okay. Well, it's easier now with 7. But anyway, so you can set up...
silent. I can't hear you at all.
What do you mean you can't hear me? I'm still here.
Okay, now you're back. Okay.
Oh, my
Your
Lord.
Mouth was moving for a moment and I heard nothing.
Oh, that's not good. Okay.
All right.
So with Zotero, you can take, you can take notes in like academic papers and all that crap in there. And then with Obsidian, you can actually set it up so that it'll automatically pull in and organize all your highlights and notes in an Obsidian note so that you have like a document and then you can sort of process it all. You can like write a synthesis or whatever helps you. And there's other things people do that are like more hardcore users where they actually have built into their Obsidian. They write their papers in Obsidian. And they have a citation system where they can automatically pull the citations by just remembering the citation key, which is usually like the last name. And once you start typing that, it'll come up, whichever one you're looking for. So there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do.
Do they call these Obsidian orders?
No. They're just called plugins.
That's not fun. Okay. They should call them Obsidian orders.
That would be much more fun, but I feel like the people behind Obsidian are mostly, like, they began as amateur programmers, because a lot of the people that use Obsidian are basically coder junkies.
Right.
But now people are using it for all kinds of other stuff, and anyway, I just like it.
And they all grew up watching Degrassi.
Correct, which is the other thing I was going to mention, because Daniel has never seen Degrassi. And Degrassi is the single most important youth and teen programming on the planet, in my opinion.
Of all time.
Of all time, yes. And I mean as a whole, but especially junior high through next generation. So Degrassi is, for those that don't know, it is named after an actual street that is in Toronto. Which is Degrassi Street, right? And so like there's a lot of elements of it in the show that are sort of like, it's really all these other streets too, but like, imagine you're going to this Degrassi school. And so the original ones are sort of like PSAs with like little stories with kids, or like little 20-minute, 30-minute episodes where like kids deal with bullying, or I don't know, like they just really want to get candy or something. Right, they're not very good, the original ones, but they're like from like the 70s. So what do you expect? They do that one, and then there's another version which is like still kids, but a little bit later. And then they get to junior high, which is exactly what it sounds like. And many of the same cast from that come back in high school as high school students, obviously. And then
Like
they
Saved by
come
the
back
Bell.
as adults, as parents in Next Generation. Not all of them, but many of them do. As parents, which is super cool because you've like, if you watch these episodes, you've literally watched this middle-aged man from when he was a child till now being a parent. It's so cool. Anyway, but like once you get to junior high, you start getting like more narrative style television that's really about like the life of being, you know, a junior high kid or like a high school kid and all the problems that you would face. And Next Gen in particular, in my opinion, is exceptional because it really is like unabashed about its desire to deal with very serious issues involving children. Literally, the very first episode of Degrassi Next Generation is about a pedophile trying to use the internet, to chat on an internet, to manipulate one of the characters who is like 12 years old to like meet him at a hotel. Obviously, it doesn't go terribly far past that point. It's eventually stopped, but it's quite scary. We get all kinds of stories like that. Everything from, you know, like your typical dating teen stories to bullying conversations to drugs, you know, normal stories of like the first time you get your driver's license and how scary that can kind of be, or people who have broken homes, all of these very serious issues, and some of them not so serious, but are very, very human. And I think part of what I find so interesting about that show is that it isn't afraid to tell these stories and to not pull punches with them. Right, like their story, their narratives about bullying are really serious. One of their narratives about bullying literally ends when the person who's being bullied, who is a problem in and of himself, who he is the product of an abusive family, who becomes abusive himself, he snaps and commits a school shooting, and kills a bunch of people and paralyzes. Hence why I'd mentioned to you off stream, paralyzes the character played by an actor who would eventually become Drake, Aubrey Graham. And so there's a whole story of that, of like, here's this character now who was like a star basketball player. He's not anymore. He can't be, right? How does he go back to being normal? So they follow that story. There's all kinds of just so cool, great story throughout this whole show. They deal with teen pregnancy, all kinds of stuff. The dealing with homophobia was like really affecting for me because I was pretty young when I saw Next Generation deal with this, but they tackle it head on. Where one of the characters is gay and he's afraid to tell his friends because he thinks his friends are going to reject him and hate him too. Spoiler alert, they don't. Most of them are pretty okay with him. They're like, oh, okay. I mean, you like dudes. Good for you. Just like, please don't compete with me as a girl on the dude department. You know, basically is like the joke. Anyway, I love this show a lot. And so I really recommend people watch Degrassi. You do not have to watch all of it. You could just watch Next Generation, which is like on a bunch of different streaming services. Certainly the production values are much stronger in Next Generation than certainly those are earlier series. So it would make sense. But I mean, honestly, if you're looking for something to introduce your kids to that deals with kids-related issues in a way that I find very sensitive and also very honest about the complexities of these things, this is the show for you. It's just so good. I'm going to watch it. I want to watch it again.
We have a show to do now, though.
We do have a show to do. I'm so sorry. Anyway, that's my ramble.
That's right. If it were genre, we could do a Degrassi episode sometime discussion.
Oh, man, don't tempt me because I want to do a whole ass show on this.
They used to make more shows like that. Like, not for young people necessarily, but just in general, shows had more... They tackled big issues while also being humorous or being more lighthearted at moments. I don't see that kind of complexity that often anymore.
I don't I mean, I'm sure it exists somewhere. And I'm not a kid anymore, so I'm not watching kids programming. But
like, there's no sitcoms anymore. Sitcoms used to do it to some did at least, but
some of them, yeah, certainly. You
there was
raise
an
a
era
great,
of that at least.
Yeah, you raise a great point, which is like, I'm sure you remember Captain Planet.
Oh yeah,
and I'm sure we've mentioned it on this show, but like Captain Planet was explicitly, directly, unabashedly pro-environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, no questions. All the bad guys were capitalists. They were all like weird mutated pig people and stuff. Who
polluted people. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I think about now, I don't know that you could make that show specifically for children and it avoid
people losing their shit.
Right. Because it was so on the nose. It obviously had a political message about the importance of the environment. Mm-hmm. How do you do that today?
We give them the opposite messages.
I guess so, yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's politics in children's programming. It exists. Like Upper Decks, which is, if I'm correct, Star Trek Upper Decks is meant for a younger audience.
Lower Decks, you mean?
Lower Decks. Sorry, not Upper Decks. Lower Decks.
I don't know if it's intended for a younger audience.
I don't know.
I've not seen it. I just watched the crossover episode with Strange New World. But that's my limit. My wife has watched more of them, but
I haven't seen it yet. So anyway, all right, we got a podcast to do.
We got to go to our happy place.
Not in this movie, but it's not.